Hello.
Going live. Going live. Hello, folks. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Shop Talk Live. Brought to you by Black Hat Comics in Rockin' Milpitas, your one-stop shop for all things superhero. Shop online at black-cat-comics.com. We're keeping you connected to the comic book community. I'm Mark.
I'm Francie.
And got a great show for you today. Lots of fun things to talk about. Going to talk about the small press.
Yes.
Going to talk about some things we got going on here at Black Cat.
Lots.
This is an interactive program. We want to hear from the nice folks at home. Let us know what you're reading. Let us know what's at the top of the stack this week. Let us know what's exciting about the world of comics for you this week.
Yep.
Throw
Top of your stack.
Throw us your questions, comments, concerns, queries. We'll get to those and address them to the best of our abilities.
I love queries.
I love queries. Always like to start the show with a little comic shop news. Comic shop news. So fun stuff going on here. We are dorks, but it's a dorky show. It's a comic book show.
Goes with the territory.
So why don't you tell them
about
the comic shop news, what we did this week?
Oh, the commercial?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's super great. So last Sunday, so let me back up. Our city is helping out small businesses by offering free videographers to do professional commercials for local businesses. So they only had, a select few that they could do for the business. And I guess people voted. We got pulled out randomly by the number of votes that people cast. And so we got a free, awesome commercial coming your way momentarily. And it's got this guy that, he's awesome, of course. So he's narrated the commercial in his radio guy voice.
Got a great voice, a great face for radio.
So that should be coming out hopefully soon. So we'll post that on all of our channels when it's available. So a special thank you to the city of Milpitas for doing that for us. That was really cool.
Milpitas rocks. It was fun.
And safe. Many masks were worn that day.
Masks, distancing, all those things.
Those things.
You won't necessarily see that from the commercial, but good times. And yeah, I know about that.
Okay.
That is good stuff.
Okay.
And it's fun because a real professional commercial, and we did a commercial many years ago that you might have seen on Cartoon Network a long time ago. So it's fun to get that updated, have something new, fun, and exciting.
Yeah.
So like I said, we'll get that out to you guys ASAP.
See.
And he's saying that he's looking forward to Superman 78 and Batman 89. Already throwing the questions, the things out there for the world of comics. We love it. Yes, so Superman 78 and Batman 89 are comics that are going to continue in those movie universes. So after all these years, we're going to get a Christopher Reeve Superman comic. Which is extremely awesome, and we're gonna get a
Tim Burton Batman.
Comic. I was gonna say a Michael Keaton Batman comic. It sounds a little cooler when you say Tim Burton. No offense, I love Michael Keaton. It sounds a little cooler when you say Tim Burton Batman comic.
I'm a fan of Tim Burton.
So yes, we're very excited about that.
That's
too.
Awesome.
Obviously, Superman 78 is my generation's wheelhouse. Everybody talks about Star Wars for good reason, but the impact of the Superman movie cannot be underestimated. The old tagline, "You'll believe a man can fly." I understand everybody watching the movie's very dated. I'm sure people younger than me who watch it don't have the same experience. But in 1978, it was an amazing movie. And seeing Superman in live action was just great. So anyway, yes, we're very excited. And I think it's long overdue and very genius of DC to get on that bandwagon. Batman 66 was a huge success. And Wonder Woman, comic-wise, Wonder Woman 77.
Bionic Woman. So, Wonder Woman versus Bionic
Wonder
Woman.
Bionic Woman was
awesome.
one of the great mashups I'm always talking about. So yeah, that's tons of fun. In other comic shop news, Just a couple of things. We got the small press sale going on this weekend.
Yes.
Every weekend in February, we put different groups of publishers on sale. The first week is Marvel Comics. The last week is DC Comics. In between, we've got two tiers. Last weekend was the big group of independent publishers: Dark Horse, Image, Dynamite, IDW. This weekend is all the little guys, what we call the small press, the independent folks, and it's tons of fun. Lots and lots of great material in the small press that a lot of comic fans don't know about. We're going to talk about a few of those books here today because that's tons of fun.
Boom Studios, Archie Comics, Archaea, Vault, Valiant. There's tons.
Oni Press and well, I don't know if slave labor is still a thing, but if you're local, you love some slave labor graphics. If you love some Invader Zim, you love some slave labor graphics. So yeah, great content comes out of the small press. So we're excited to share a bit of that. And while we're on the topic of sharing and Black Cat news, throwing it out there, next Friday, Comic Shop Classics, Kazi's Classics, is next Friday, 6 o'clock? We do it the last Friday of every month, and this month is Black History Month, so we're going to talk some Black History comics. And that's going to be really awesome. Always have some cool keys, some great readables, and some comic book history for everybody. So that's going to be lots of fun next Friday, 6 o'clock, Kazi's Classics, right here on your chosen social media outlet.
Live. We're going to go live.
Good fun.
And should we talk about the Black Cat Chronicles update?
You bet.
So we've been getting all the colors in. So the colored finished pages in, and it's, I mean, even more gorgeous in the inks. So we've got our sticker done, bookmark done, the inks are done, colors coming in, letterers working on it. We'll be posting, for those of you that didn't catch the Kickstarter, we're going to be posting different things on our Black Cat Publishing collection on our store, so you can, buy the bookmark if you want, or the sticker, or the print you can buy as well. We're probably going to do a color version of the print as well as a black and white version because his art is just that good. So keep an eye out for that, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
All happening fast and furious, as they say. We had a March date. We're going to hit it, and it's going to be awesome. And hope you all love it as much as we do.
Yeah.
Does that wrap it up for comic shop news? Anyone got any tidbits going on in the world of comics? No spoilers about WandaVision.
So good.
Wow.
So good.
The show just blows my mind every single week. It's awesome. So then, shall we get to it?
Yeah.
As we mentioned, this is a small press sale weekend. So this week on the show, we're going to spotlight some of our favorite small press publishers, some of our favorite small press books. I always say in the Wednesday video and the newsletter, if you hang out, if you watch this show, that every publisher does a book, has at least one book that you would like, that you would read if you knew about that book. Always encouraging folks to try something new, something fun, something exciting. Yes, it's a Marvel DC world. We're your one-stop shop for all things superhero, but there's so much more to comics than Marvel and DC and the capes. And so we want to show you some of those books today.
So I'm not a huge traditional Archie fan. Betty and Veronica, Archie and the Gang, Jughead. It's cute and all, but I never read it as a kid, and so as an adult, it didn't really grab me. Until they started coming out with these amazing, super scary horror storylines. So Afterlife with Archie, it's Walking Dead meets, Friday the 13th. And then we've got Sabrina, which if you like the Netflix show, or I should say it this way, if you're like, with a Netflix show, read the comic. The comic is so much better. We've got her marrying Cthulhu. We've got Madam Satan. We've got all kinds of occult stuff. It is awful, incestuous, horror fun. So make sure you grab those.
Is it or is it not the prequel to Afterlife?
It starts with, it's kind of dual because they kind of happen at the same time. So these are the first kind of two storylines that happen. And the Francavilla art.
Come on. Forget about it.
So these are the two that you want to read kind of at the same time. And then I think Jughead the Hunger came out. and then Blossoms, and then Jughead the Hunger versus Vampironica, and then Vampironica. There's a lot of them. But the first two I think are still the best. Chilling Tales of Sabrina and Afterlife with Archie. And I'm going to open it up so you can see some of the horror.
And while she does that, I'm going to piggyback on that because this is one of my favorite books of all time. I know I say that a lot, but when this book came out just a few years ago now, I was putting it in the hands of anybody and everybody. It's such a great book. You don't have to know anything about Archie to love it, but if you do know a lot about Archie, it's twice as much fun, and just a really, really great book. Great horror title, wonderful art. It was the book, I want to say 2014. Has it been that long?
Oh, we're so old.
Maybe it hasn't been that long. But whatever year it came out, it was the book of the year, and I just absolutely love Afterlife with Archie.
Full graphic warning, this is a horror comic, so let me show you what it looks like inside. That's super creepy.
Keeps you up at night.
I mean, come on. It's really well written. Good pacing. Great story. I mean, it's just, I can't tell you one thing about it because it would spoil it.
Great stories, great art.
But yeah, that's what we talk about. So the Archie, and I'm kind of sad that they stopped doing them because they were so good. In fact, I think Archie, that we're still waiting on finishing up like volume 2, right?
Yeah, we've been waiting, but it's not going to happen. To their credit, the writers of all this stuff are now working on that Riverdale show, and TV and Hollywood money pays a whole lot more than writing comics. So.
But all this is on our online store, 25% off this weekend. So if you want to check it out.
All the things that we're talking about are 25% off this weekend. So it's a great time to pick up some of these greatest hits that we're talking about. It's a great time to dive into any of that. Again, I'm always encouraging folks to try something new. And when it's 25% off, you can't beat that. And on it goes. Archie, we could talk about Vampironica. I think Vampironica is one of the best ideas for comics. A long time ago in the all ages stuff, they did Betty the Vampire Slayer versus Vampironica, which is obviously a play on Buffy, and she's obviously Vampirella, and hijinks ensue, and it was really great.
I love hijinks.
And so now they've turned that into a series, and then it was Jughead the Hunger versus Vampironica. So much fun.
Well, and they just finished up Red Sonja Vampirella versus Betty and
Veronica. They did Betty and Veronica meet Harley and Ivy.
Oh, yeah.
It's another book you can find, which is really great. Going to talk up some mashups a little bit later. So, yeah, can't say enough about Archie Comics. I talk about them every week. They still do all the all-ages stuff. And unlike you, I love all that. I've been a Jughead fan always and always. But I get it. Like if you weren't into that, if you didn't grow up with it, then it's not going to pull you in. But I used to sneak in my sister's room and read all their Archies, and Jughead's awesome.
It's a little too nice. I gravitate towards the horror.
Then you don't read enough Reggie. Reggie is not
He's
nice.
A jerk. Reggie's a jerk.
So that's Archie Comics, and on we could spend this whole show talking about Archie Comics.
We could.
I am going to talk a little bit about Boom Studios. And like a lot of things from a lot of publishers, now's a good time to be buying prints of things before they go out of print because they're switching publishers. All of the Alien and Predator stuff is going to Marvel, for example. And so it's a good time to grab the omnibus editions of all of the Dark Horse material because a lot of that stuff is going to not be in print anymore and is going to go away forever. And I don't know, but I assume that something like that is going to happen to the Planet of the Apes license at Boom Studios. Again, I don't know, but I know it's a 20th Century Fox franchise, so I assume that this will be going back to Disney and publishing rights and whatever going to change. Regardless, this is an excellent book. This is a huge, the omnibus edition. There are also individual trades that are a little less expensive, but I would encourage you to commit, especially at 25% off, and pick up this giant Planet of the Apes graphic novel from Boom Studios. This is probably the first 2 or 3 trades from the original series that they did.
Show some art.
In just a sec. So the premise is this takes place in the original movie universe, the 1960s movie universe, but it takes place probably hundreds of years, maybe 1,000 years before the original movie, before Taylor and all that kind of stuff. So what you see in this book is the very beginning of what you see in the movie. Like some people can still talk, but most people have gone mute.
Nice.
Humanity is devolving as the apes evolve, and so there are still people like that have intelligence and can talk and whatever, but they're becoming fewer and fewer, and the ape civilization is rising ever more, and so that's fascinating. And you see little tidbits that they mention in the movies, some of those things you see in this series, but it's not necessarily, you don't have to know or care anything about the movies. It's just a great, awesome science fiction comic. Now, to get to the art is phenomenal.
Wow.
Absolutely phenomenal. Just
look at that.
Great pencil work, beautiful colors, some of the nicest art you're going to see in comics. And I'm a huge Planet of the Apes fan, so I was going to read the book anyway. But the story just blew me away, and the art was so impeccable. Again, as the series was coming out, it's been over for a little while, but as the series was coming out, I was just begging anybody that would listen to pick up this book and read it. And now that they've done it in the big omnibus edition and it's 25% off, somebody needs to pick up this book and read this book, because it's just really, really great. Can't say enough about this. Again, if you're a big Apes fan like me, you have to have this, because you're going to love it. If you're not an Apes fan or don't care much, this book might change your mind. You read this and you might want to check out the 1969 original. Though, of course, in the 5-movie set, the 5th one is the best. Everybody knows that. So I'm going to throw out a couple other Planet of the Apes things, because I'm always talking about the awesome mashups that have been going on. I'm always talking up the greatness of the Planet of the Apes comics. If you're not a big Planet of the Apes fan, maybe you're a Green Lantern fan, or maybe you're a Star Trek fan, and you want to see some Planet of the Apes Green Lantern or Planet of the Apes Star Trek, like the other main series. These are really, really great books with great stories and great art. Planet of the Apes is such an awesome premise for mashups, because the whole thing is about a hole opens up in the sky and somebody pops through. Anybody, anything can pop through that portal and end up on Planet of the Apes and have to take on this guy and his barrel of monkeys. And that's just 2 tons of fun.
Do we get to see some Kirk Fu?
Some Kirk Fu. There's definite Kirk Fu in here.
Nice.
Oh boy, there's. I don't want to spoil anything about either one of these, because
but this is the original Star Trek.
Yes, this is original team. Star Trek team. This is Kirk and the gang.
Nice. Spock's in there.
Okay, so see, I can't even give it away because it's too cool. But let me just say that, like all the great mashups that are going on these days, this is everything you love about Star Trek and everything you love about Planet of the Apes. There's Klingons in here. There's, Federation politics in here, and that's awesome. And same thing with this. There's all the Lanterns are in here, the Guardians and Hal Jordan and blah blah blah. Everything you love about Green Lantern thrown into the madcap chaos of Planet of the Apes, with great art. So again, I could spend this whole show going on about Boom Studios and all the awesomeness that they've done with Planet of the Apes. These are 3 great examples. Pick up the omnibus for the main series. It's just sci-fi at its very best. There's no other way to say it. And then this stuff is just good, clean comic book fun for anybody that likes wacky team-ups. And so that's my Boom Studios spiel.
All right, then I'll switch over to Archaea. Potato. So Archaea has the Jim Henson license. So they've got things like Dark Crystal. They've got things like Labyrinth, and I don't have it in front of me, but they've got the storyteller stuff that they do, which is my all-time favorite stuff. So they've done a really great job of carrying on the tales of the movies that we know and love from the Jim Henson world. And the art and the storylines are phenomenal. So they've done a couple of different, I want to say at least 2, maybe 3 different, like 12-issue story arcs in the Dark Crystal world, some that predated the movie and some that came afterwards. So some of the early days of the planet, and you can see some amazing artwork. This one is the complete collection of creation myths. See that up close. It's beautiful, and it's got that same, you know, look and feel and style as the movie did. It's kind of dark, it's shadowy, it's creepy, it's hopeful, it's scary, it's all of those things that you want and more. The labyrinth is the same, so they really capture David Bowie's character really well. And there's at least two of these too. There's one called Coronation, and there's another one, I forgot the name of it, and this is a lot more kind of cartoony feel to it. But all the same characters that you know and love. And some of it takes place before the movie, and some of it takes place during the movie, kind of like in parallel. So a couple different timelines that they play with in the different series. And then, you know, I've talked about before ad nauseum, and I'll do it again here. The Jim Henson storytellers, they're phenomenal. So what they are 4-issue miniseries on a theme. Each comic is a standalone, so you can just pick up one issue and it's totally self-contained. You don't have to read all 4. So the themes that they've had before are witches, ghosts, fairies, giants. There's at least half a dozen, if not more. And they're doing another one in another couple of weeks. I can't remember what the theme is, but they've all been stellar art, stellar stories. You know, there's been, you know, 1 or 2 clunkers in there, I'm not going to lie. But for the most part, especially this last one, which I think was Storyteller Ghost, the last issue 4/4, oh my God, it blew my mind. It was so good and creepy. And I think I even shed a tear.
Wow.
I know.
I laughed, I cried, it became a part of me.
That's right. That's right. So all good things from the world of Archaea. So make sure you guys check those out if you're into the Jim Henson universe stuff.
And everybody should be. Kudos to Archaea for tapping into those properties, because the mind of Jim Henson is just unending. Is even years after his demise. It's just perfect for comics. Great stories and great art, and like I say, kudos to them for tapping into that, because it's wonderful material for comics.
And I should say, just like the stuff that you mentioned with Planet of the Apes, this is all new storylines. They're all, you know, brand new. So if you love that universe and you want some more, you know, the comics are a great way to kind of get your fix from that universe.
Good times.
Good times.
All right, so
good times are happening.
now, a little like Planet of the Apes, going to get into one of my favorite things in comics. So we talk about small press, and we say that, you know, it's different from Marvel and DC. And when you're setting aside, you know, if you want something different than the superheroes, if you're looking for sci-fi, you're looking for genre, you're looking for this, that, the other, dig into the small press. But you can find awesome superhero universes in the small press as well, which brings me to one of my favorite independent publishers ever of all, and that's Valiant Comics. And I'm going to go through 3 different things of my man Bloodshot right now that you can check out. Again, 25% off this weekend. And it gives you just a good example of what Valiant does. I'm always encouraging folks to have a Valiant book. Exo Manowar, Bloodshot, Rye. They're redoing Shadow Man here shortly. Everybody, or at least most folks, know Valiant was around back in the 90s. They were one of the premier publishers in the 90s, doing awesome things. Then, you know, comics collapsed at the end of the 90s. They got bought by a video game company. You never saw them again. Now Valiant's back with not a continuation of that universe. It's brand new stories, brand new characters, but you know, in the vein of the ones before. So this giant beast is a huge hardcover that contains the entire original 1990s Valiant run of Bloodshot. Really good stuff. Some all-time great creators in here. I followed Valiant stuff back in the day. I was just chomping at the bit to get to the next issue. Bloodshot was one of my favorites. We love those chromium covers. It's a great mix of sort of war comics, sci-fi comics. And then Valiant was building a bigger world. You could read Bloodshot, and Bloodshot was your guy. At the time, it was the 1990s. And then you read Rye, and Rye took place in the year 4000, but they were essentially the same guy, or at least they were the same. The little thing on his chest is the same thing that Rye has. Those blood nanites that power Bloodshot are the same blood nanites that power Rye 3,000 years later. And that was just really cool. So anyway, they do all of these big old hardcovers for a lot of the stuff that they still have the license for. This one for Exo Manowar. I think there's one for Rye that isn't quite this big. But again, at 25% off. If you were a fan back in the day, it's a really it's a trip down memory lane to read some comics that you used to love back in the day. And if you're new to it, or you just saw the movie or whatever, or if you're reading the more modern stuff, you can see where it all comes from. And I can't recommend these enough. This book and the Exo Manowar one, like I say, great stories, great art, and that's where it all starts.
What's up, Gordon? What's up, Carlo? Yeah, that's it. That's a good definition. So Carlo says that Captain America plus Punisher equals Bloodshot. Nice.
That's pretty yeah. Okay, so then there's a couple of trades. He's been at the New Valiant, of course, for quite a while. He's probably on the 4th series, I guess. So here's a big compendium of the very beginning of the New Valiant, so you can read all the stuff from the old Valiant. You can grab this guy, and it's the launch of Valiant, nice. And you know, a couple big chunky trades, so you get the idea of what their version of Bloodshot is like. Or if you want to just cut to the chase, there's a trade paperback for the current ongoing series. It's only at like number 7 or number 8. This is 1 through 6. It's only like $10, $7.50 this weekend. And again, I would really, really encourage you to pick up the most recent Bloodshot trade, the most recent Exo trade, the most recent Rye trade. Get a little taste of what Valiant does. I can all but guarantee that you will keep reading those books because they all have the core of what we love about superhero stuff. Core of what we love about modern comics, which is a little bit of genre fusion. I don't know, something than my old school comics. And Valiant does just a great job across the board. Great stories, great art. Like I say, fun, interesting characters. And it allows you to get into a superhero universe, get into an action adventure universe without committing to 15 titles or event books or all the things that the big two like to do. That's
funny. So Gordon's saying that Conan plus Iron Man equals Exo Manowar. So that's funny.
Yes, that's totally a thing. He's basically Conan in an Iron Man suit, nice. Which is awesome. Who doesn't want to see Conan in an Iron Man suit? And like I say, they do a great job of world building and side characters and villains and all these other things too. But the main reason to do it is just, you know, those core characters are great.
Is it still Jim Shooter?
No, that's a very sordid story that we don't have time to get into.
Ooh, Jim drama.
Shooter, yes, it's one of the great drama stories of comics. Jim Shooter started Valiant Comics, and it was Jim Shooter that brought in all the talent. And then once it started, and then basically he got run out by the board of directors. It's a pretty nasty story.
Controversial.
And then he went to Defiant Comics and kind of started that. And similarly brought some great talent like David Latham over to Defiant Comics. And then that kind of fell apart. And then he got out of comics and who can blame him? Jim Shooter's all-time great. Not only an all-time great writer, he's one of the best editors in chief that Marvel ever had. And yeah, his founding of the original Valiant stuff with Walt Simonson, Frank Miller. That's why I jumped ship from Marvel and DC to read Valiant because they had a lot of top talent.
Yeah, got to go where the talent is.
So old Valiant, new Valiant, one of the best publishers going right now. If you love superhero comics, action comics, sci-fi comics, there's a Valiant book that you would love.
And Savage just came out this week too, right?
Yep. Savage is into this week one.
Shadow Man, they've done.
Shadow Man's right around the corner. Shadow Man was one of the better books of the original Valiant. Shadow Man is a very unique character, and I don't say that a lot in comics. Ninjak was very cool. But I'm looking forward to the Shadow Man thing. Yeah. They don't do enough New Orleans voodoo superheroes.
So moving right along like a herd of turtles, as my teacher used to say. So Titan Comics puts out all the Doctor Who stuff amongst a bunch of other things. And I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan. We used to watch the Matt Smith season because Neil Gaiman wrote an episode, so you have to watch it if you're a Neil Gaiman fan. So it kind of turned us on to Doctor Who. Honestly, I haven't been reading the comics, but this just sounds too good to be true. Tales of Terror in the Doctor Who universe.
Doctor Who universe.
Oh, dork! I love it. Yes, and I believe I'm going to show it to you guys. I believe it's mostly prose with like some art sprinkled within it, but it's mostly book stuff.
Book stuff.
It's like a book. So this is so awesome, and I was putting it up on our online store specifically for the sale this weekend. And I'm like, dang man, if nobody buys it by Sunday, I'm taking it home on Monday. So you got 2 days to get it. Otherwise, it's coming home with mama. Good stuff.
I love stuff like that. I love books of short stories, number one.
Yeah.
I love
who doesn't love short stories?
Novels of my kind of stuff. Marvel does novels. DC does novels. They do a lot more than they used to. They didn't used to do a lot of stuff like that. There's a Hellboy book of short stories. I just love anthologies like that where you can, read about different doctors and different adventures all in one book. That's a lot of fun.
These names don't ring a bell, but they might if you're a Doctor Who fan. Written by Mike Tucker, Paul Maggers, Richard Dungworth. Boy, that's got to be a tough last name. And
third grade was rough on that guy.
Jacqueline Rayner, and
you got like any story that's called Murder in the Dark. I mean, come on. That's just yes. I want to read that.
Scott Hancock. Boy, these guys have some challenging last names. Craig Donaghy. Yeah, so good stuff. There's 12. It looks like there's 12 short stories in here. Over 300 pages of goodness in the Tales of Terror in the Doctor Who universe. Good times were had by all.
Want to get to the new this week books, but have just a couple of things I wanted to mention as far as digging deep. So again, go to black-cat-comics.com. Is there a specific section for all of them, or is it?
Yeah, no. So we if you click on shop right there underneath our big banner, it'll say small press. Click on that, and then all of this stuff should show up.
And dig through there. There's tons of great stuff. Way more than we have time to talk about in the show, especially as, like I say, we'll get to some new this week. But this guy, Second Coming, from Ahoy Comics, it's just something that I had to throw out here in a conversation about small press. Because, and I know Image does a lot of this, and Image is not small press, but in the small press, you find things that you just won't find from other publishers, especially not from the big guys, especially not from companies owned by Disney. This is a story of, it's a Superman archetype. And, you hate to call Jesus an archetype, but so it's basically the idea that Superman and Jesus are roommates. And of course they have, awesome. Very differing opinions and viewpoints on how to save people and on what the world really needs. Superman, likes saving people and he likes punching bad guys. Jesus isn't such a fan of punching bad guys. And so, the premise just sort of sells itself.
You gotta show the back cover.
Now, it goes without saying, mature readers, this is not something to buy for your kid. This is not something, everything, you don't want your kids to see is in this book. But it's just a great comic. It's great comedy. And like I say, just a good example of, Ahoy Comics is a publisher most people haven't heard of. You're not going to come across them unless you go looking for them. And that's true for a lot of publishers and a lot of great comics with great talent. So again, this is a lot of the best kept secrets in comics happen in the small press, like this one. And so I couldn't encourage you enough to click on that small press section, take a look at everything in there, pick up a couple of things that are new to you that look cool and look interesting, and turn yourself on to something new, fun, and exciting.
And just a quick tip, because there's a lot of pages to scroll through. There's a little filter button on the left, so you can filter by horror, you can filter by sci-fi, you can filter by humor, you can filter by Archie, you can filter by a lot of different things to kind of narrow down your search if that scrolling becomes a little too tedious for you.
But I'm here to say that the scrolling is part of the fun.
It's like flipping through the back issues.
Right. It's like flipping through the bin.
Online back issues.
Always been a great way to buy comics. It's just looking at a cover and being like, that's cool. I want to know what happens in that book. And again, that's a great way to get into the small press stuff.
Yes.
So before we get into the new this week, I want to know what your favorite independent publishers are, your favorite independent books, what you might be reading, what you might be looking forward to reading.
Gordon's liking the Valiant. He said Valiant's cool.
Gordon's one of my all Valiant guys. And in case there's a publisher watching, let me throw this out there, and just to the fans too, because they can know how cool Valiant is. Valiant sent me free of charge and to no hassle a copy of all of their volume ones, and just to pass around to my folks. And hey, we're a new publisher with some new books. Loan these out to your customers and try it out. Which I did. We set up a little Black Cat Comics library, a loaning library. A lot of my customers took advantage of that, and a lot of my guys immediately said, yeah, I liked all of that. I want all of that on my sub list. And so, hey, publishers, everybody is trying to get in there. Anybody that's not Marvel and DC needs more exposure. So if you want more exposure, send some copies to your comic shop so they can read them. You show more items in your online shop pages. I'm not sure.
Can you show more items in your online shop pages?
No, that's designed by Shopify.
Yeah, I can't control. I tried to have like 100 items on a page instead of what it has. I can't figure out how to change
they
that.
don't.
Sorry.
They limit that. Yes, Carlo. Carlo mentions Usagi Yojimbo. It's an IDW book now. Originally, it was Fantagraphics, which was, again, the small press people were talking about. Fantagraphics Press has produced all-time great stuff. And Usagi has jumped around, but is still one of the best independent comics ever made. Stan Sakai is one of the top talents in all of comics, no doubt about that.
I'll look into that, Gordon. I've tried, I've failed, but I'll do a little bit more deeper research to see if I can figure out the layout. So thanks for that feedback.
So check out those publishers, folks. It's tons of fun, and then get ready for the big DC sale next weekend. Don't really need to hype up. We've all heard of Batman.
My fave.
So let's move on to some new this week books.
New this week.
Because it's a new this week kind of show.
That's right.
So why don't you start us off?
Okay. So top of my it's kind of all three of these are very top. Like they're all competing for my favorite right now. Young Hellboy. I did a review online, so you can check it out if you check out the store page. It's basically one of the earliest expeditions that young Hellboy gets to go on with his professor dad, and they let's see, what can I say without ruining it? They get stuck on an island that's like Jurassic Park, and it's awesome and fun.
How many times does he say crap?
At least 11.
Nice.
11. And he gets to use his right hand of doom, it looks like for the first time in a lot of these cases. So that's been fun. Tom King's Batman, Catwoman. Like, if you're not reading this, I'm sorry, dude. There's something not quite right. This is the best book ever. If you like the Batman animated series and you like the Mask of the Phantasm movie, it pulls in that storyline, and it goes, into the future, into the past, into the present. It's incredible. I don't know how Tom King does it, but he does it again. He pulls it out, and he's like amazing. And the art's incredible. And what can I show you without giving anything away? I can show you maybe this. Right, Clayman, who he teamed up with to do Batman. his Batman runs, some of the best run stuff there is. So they're on issue 3. We still have 1 and 2 on the site, so you don't have to, you won't be lost. But you do have to read them in order. Like this is a story he's building. So if you just picked up number 3, be like, what the heck's going on? So you do have to start in the very beginning. And there's Jim Lee covers, and there's Clayman covers, and there's Tempest, or so. There's a third cover that I can't remember the person's name.
Charest.
Something like that. Yes. They're all great. They're all great.
It's a phenomenal book. It's a phenomenal book. And if you didn't read the Batman run from Tom King and you hear things on the internet that say you shouldn't, you should read that run, and you should read Batman Catwoman. So if you're,
it's good.
I just can't say enough about it. It's. I don't understand the Tom King haters, to be honest.
He's not.
Well, maybe if you met him, but
yeah, he's
but his writing, his grasp of Batman is awesome, and this Batman Catwoman run is a ton of fun, no doubt about that. And since she's handling phone duties, she's coming right back, so I won't cut you off in line.
You cutting me off?
No, you were talking about how those are all top of your stack, so we got to hear about all of them.
So okay, so this came out and it like blew me away. Issue number 1 came out obviously 4 weeks ago, and it's called You Can't See It. Ha ha. Ha ha. It is totally creepy, clown, weird, psychedelic, bullet in the brain. What's going on? What's real? What's not? It's incredible. So, and this is a different artist than I think issue 1, because we're in a different perspective of what's going on. So it's really great.
Wow.
This looks a little manga-ish. Let's see. I can share this. There's a lot of pages I cannot share because it's
you gory. In any image book, you have to look first before you put it up on the internet.
It's really good. It's really good. So
there's a second printing for the first issue if you missed it. Plenty of copies of number 2.
Trying to think of how I can describe it without giving it away. So it's a clown who works for a failing amusement park, and his wife and kids think he's a loser, and he turns into a loser. So it just kind of this spiral, and then something happens that kind of changes the trajectory of his life. And that's just issue 1. I mean, all this happens in issue 1. So I haven't even read issue 2 yet, but I'm excited to dive into it this week.
I want to answer Carl's question. He says, I haven't read anything new in a while. Is Baltimore coming back, or any new recent Predator stories? Both. Next week starts Lady Baltimore. So if you liked Baltimore, you're going to want to catch that. Folks who don't know what Baltimore is, it's a Mike Mignola vampire hunter story.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily from the world of Hellboy, but it's Mike Mignola, so it's creepy and delicious.
And paranormal.
So that's Lady Baltimore. And as I mentioned at the top with the Planet of the Apes stuff, Predator is moving to Marvel Comics. And so first we're going to get Alien. Well, sorry. First, Marvel is going to do new best of printings. You're going to get a best of Alien, best of Predator trade paperbacks. And then they're going to start a new Alien series. And once that gets going, they'll start a new Predator series.
Predator versus Wolverine.
You're already seeing a lot of Marvel's doing Alien B covers right now. They're getting the Alien thing out there. I think they're under the impression, don't kill me, I don't know, to be honest, what's more popular, Alien or Predator. I live in a world where it's kind of 50-50. But I think it might be considered Alien as a bigger property, as a bigger premise, because it's got a bigger director and all these things. So I think they're starting with Alien and getting all the Alien thing out there, and then they'll start getting all the Predator stuff out there.
I can't stop thinking about the crossovers of Reed Richards and the Alien. I can't.
Oh
stop.
yeah, it goes. I'm super excited about this, and I've said this all along. And I know, again, in everything comics and everything in the world today, there's haters.
Spider-Man, Alien.
I love that Disney is acquiring this stuff, and that Marvel is bringing these things in.
Star Wars, Alien.
because that. Well, I'm already having a ton of fun with the incorporation of Conan. They got Conan back.
I'm not joking, Carla. I think that would be awesome.
They got Conan back, and now you see him in Savage Avengers, and you see him incorporated in the Marvel Universe. I love that. I would love it for that. I'd love Predator to be a thing in the Marvel Universe. And then every once in a while, you know, the Skrulls and the Predators would be awesome. Kree and the Alien would be awesome. And so I'm all for all that. I'm really excited. As I said, when all of that plays out, I would love to see Marvel do Planet of the Apes again.
We're just spitballing here. We're just spitballing. Marvel, if you're
so. You know, oh, I'm sure they're thinking about all of this. And let's keep in mind that Marvel used to have the license to have this stuff before. Not Alien and Predator, but Planet of the Apes and Conan and all kinds of stuff that they're doing. So, yeah, like I say, I'm all into mashups, and I'm excited. And I am excited to see Lady Baltimore come back. I'm excited to see Baltimore happen too. Okay, so you said so I had a couple of things tied for top of my stack this week too, and that's Captain America and Iron Man.
I mean, look at those covers. Alex Ross.
There's 1,000 reasons why these tied for first, even though everybody knows Captain America is the greatest hero of all time and is the best comic book ever made ever. And everybody knows that it's my favorite. And Marvel was like, hey, let's slap some Alex Ross covers on there. Maybe Kazi will buy 2 of them. So obviously Cap is my favorite thing, and it's super awesome. But Iron Man, boy, is at the top of my stack these days. And not just because of that freaking incredible Alex Ross cover. So glad he's been doing a lot of Marvel work with Cap and Immortal Hulk and Iron Man. He's getting a lot of regular work at Marvel, and I love it. I love that they're the regular covers and not like the incentive expensive ones. Just give me some cover price Alex Ross. Okay, so Iron Man is also a great example of a lot of things I've been talking about with Marvel, with Amazing Spider-Man, with a lot of things. It's a very back to basics, everything you love about Iron Man comic. For the last 3 or 4 runs of Iron Man, and they've been awesome, don't get me wrong, but they've been doing the shaking it all up, new, different, something you never seen before kind of thing, which is cool. You got to shake it up once in a while. You got to do some crazy things once in a while. But that kind of went on, and now, you know, I mean, Tony Stark is dead, and he's AI and all this stuff, and it was kind of wacky. And they did that, and it was all awesome. But now we're just getting back to Tony Stark in his Iron Man suit, socking it to the bad guys. It's classic villains, but it's not like, oh, I've read this 1,000 times. That's not interesting. As I say, like with Amazing Spider-Man, like with a lot of things that Marvel's doing, they're putting your hero that you know and love and have been reading all these years in familiar but new circumstances. They're showing you, you know, here's the kind of things that happened to Tony Stark. Guys build half-baked suits of armor and they want to take him on. Yes, we've seen that before because it happens to him all the time. And so anyway, it's really fun right now. If you're ever an Iron Man fan, it's a great time to be checking it out. If you're not an Iron Man fan, this run will show you why they make movies, maybe a little more so than the last couple of runs that they've done. So Iron Man and Captain America, 2 all-time great Avengers, 2 of my favorite characters, 2 big Marvel movie stars. Great week to be checking out some basic Marvel stuff. And like I say, just as to throw it out there, it's a good time to check out all your Marvel core titles. Whatever you've been away from for a while, it's a great time to check out X-Men. It's a great time to check out Amazing Spider-Man. It's a great time to check out Fantastic Four. Like always, Marvel has 15 event books, and those 15 event books have 15 side books. Are you afraid I'm going to hit you in the face?
You were close.
And yes, there's always a lot going on, but the core basic titles are as good as they've ever been, and are all well worth reading right now. So that's my Marvel spiel.
Top of the stack. So what's top of your stack this week? Top of your stack.
Top of the stack. What's everybody loving? I want to know what Future State book you were digging. I gotta say, as I've said the last couple of weeks, I'm pleasantly surprised with a lot of this. I would have to admit that Future State, by and large, has been better than I thought it would be, and has been a pretty fun event.
Dark Detective's been awesome.
Dark Detective is fun. Next, Batman has been selling like crazy. Like these
Wonder
things
Woman.
always do. They've had some surprise hits.
Yeah.
And
Joel Jones is doing Wonder Woman. It's really good.
Yeah. Is that new or Immortal? There's a couple of different.
It's not Immortal.
So Worlds of War is one of my favorites. This is the big chunky Superman one.
TMNT Last Ronin.
Yeah, Last Ronin #2 is out this week.
We can't keep them on the shelf.
On the biggest books in comics.
Yeah.
So I love Future State. Worlds of War, obviously it's the Superman book. I love all the Superman books. But this is my man Clark. And what I really like about it is it gives you the best of both kinds of Superman stories. On one page, you have Superman fighting endless hordes of idiots on some outer space planet. Awesome. And on the next page is a couple of kids talking about how awesome Superman is and what an amazing influence Superman has been to everyone in the world.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're living in a world without Superman, and so they're all trying to find the Superman in themselves. So I don't know, it's just really, really great. There's lots of awesome backup stories. The Mr. Miracle backup story in this has been really good. It's $7.99. I have to say the execution of the Future State thing is a little bit wonky in that some books are $3, some books are $8, some books are 2 issues, some books are 4 issues. There could have been a little more consistency. But I bring it up mostly because this week is probably, I guess next Wednesday is the end of all of it, wraps up all of it. You'll get Generation Forged, and that will be the end of all this Future State stuff. So if you've been holding out on anything, if you've been curious about anything, dive into it because like I say, I think, and most people seem to think, that it was the titles were better than they thought they'd be. And it's been a lot of fun. So check out some Future State stuff.
I thought that one had to do with War Worlds just because of the title.
It does. See, there's Mongol right there.
Oh, well, okay then.
Which is not a spoiler. I
want to read it for the Mr. Miracle story in the back.
Yeah, the Mr. Miracle story backup was really cool.
Mr. Miracle. Thanks to Tom King, I love Mr. Miracle now. Do you want to tell folks what the TMNT Last Ronin is? Okay, yeah. Gordon mentions TMNT Last Ronin. Last Ronin #2 is out this week. If you can find a copy of the 3rd printing of #1, grab one or wait for the 4th printing. We sold out of it again, didn't we? Yeah, we sure did. I might even, and I never ever say this, but I might even suggest biting the bullet and spending a few bucks on the first printing of #1. I think it's one of those books that's really going to hold up. So what is it? Basically, it's sort of the distant future sequel to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles story. And that's really cool. If you know much about the original Turtles, the book originally was intended to spoof everything that was popular in comics at the time. Everything in comics at the time was Frank Miller ninjas and funny animal comics. If you remember books like Fish Police, which nobody does, but it even gets a nod on The Simpsons. And so funny animal books were all the rage. And Frank Miller having everybody fight ninjas was all the rage. And of course the X-Men was the biggest thing ever. And so Eastman and Laird mashed all those things together. Teenage Mutants are the X-Men, ninjas are ninjas, and turtles are turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles love it.
Is awesome. A massive hodgepodge of everything we were all buying and rapidly consuming at the time. And it was really that. It was very dark and very violent. It was a Frank Miller comic about turtles. Yeah. And so it was ridiculous and it was awesome. And of course, it exploded in popularity and transformed as these things do as they go corporate and they become commercials and video games and cartoons. It became very, very different from the Turtles that we were originally introduced to. Now, in the current incarnation, It's a little bit like that, but what Last Ronin is, as I said, a sort of distant future sequel to that grim, dark, tongue-in-cheek, hilarious Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
Eastman's back, right? It's all him.
Yeah, I'm not sure that Laird is involved, but
Kevin Eastman. Sure.
But yeah, so if you were an original Turtles fan or any kind of Turtles fan, you're going to want to check out Last Ronin. If you're any kind of comics fan, like I say, you'll be surprised at how dark and serious and how much gravitas it has for a book about turtles. Awesome. Fun stuff. And like I say, the first issue just exploded. It's got to be the most popular book of 2020. Certainly the most expensive book of
2021. Did it come out this year?
No, it came out last year. The first issue was probably the end. I mean, because it's been
around the cusp, yeah.
So many reprintings that we've been waiting for. So yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so we'll start to wrap it up again. Throw those last-minute questions, last-minute comments about what's at the top of your stack. We want to know what you're reading. We want everybody to know what you're reading because we're keeping you in touch with the comic book community.
That's right.
So sign up for our newsletter. You'll get the newsletter every week, and that's when you'll know that stuff is live on the website. Yep. Newsletter's got all kinds of fun store info and reviews, like written versions of the things we've been doing for the last half an hour. Then go to black-cat-comics.com, click on shop, and take a look at all the books that we talk about every week. Pick up your new stuff, tune back in on Saturday, and we do it all over again. Last minute reminder, next Friday, Kazi's Classics, Friday, 6 o'clock. And then we'll be back here Saturday, 2 p.m. for the DC sale show.
All things DC, 25% off next weekend.
Booming.
It'll be fun.
So that about wraps us up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys and gals.